restoring the rights of consumers to make decisions that fit their individual needs and values, not the progressive lifestyle agenda. That's next on The Tom Roten Show.
Free speech is non-negotiable. Tyranny cannot coexist with freedom. Lies must be exposed. The truth will not be canceled. This is The Tom Roten Show.
Hi, everybody. I am the straight shooter, Tom Roten. This is The Tom Roten Show on a Thursday, January 23rd, 2025. And the executive orders just keep coming, and a lot of them are really good, including Trump's executive order to empower consumer choice in vehicles, shower heads, toilets, hallelujah, washing machines, light bulbs, dishwashers, and more. Everything that Americans use every day. This is a significant victory for consumers and their choice to have the products that they want that fit their needs and their lifestyles. We're going to talk about this with O.H. Skinner, Executive Director of Alliance for Consumers. That's coming up in just a moment. The Tom Roten Show is powered by Dutch Miller Auto. Shop online at DutchMillerAuto.com. More than 1,500 vehicles for you to choose from. Several makes and models, new and pre-owned. When you get the vehicle you want, you're going to get the best deal right up front with friends and family pricing for everyone. Start the buying process and shop online at DutchMillerAuto.com. Okay, so we're going to talk to O.H. Skinner here in a moment, and I want to get your thoughts on this as well. The executive order from President Donald J. Trump basically says this: it empowers consumer choice in vehicles, shower heads, toilets, washing machines, light bulbs, and dishwashers. So, folks, this is directing through his executive order, his administration is directing the government entities to lay off on these rules and regulations that have affected the end user consumer. So no longer will appliance companies only have to make certain types of dishwashers, certain types of washing machines. Now you can go and get what best meets your home's needs. You can get the light bulb of your choosing, the toilet that you don't have to flush 2 or 3 times. I mean, folks, this is great. You can get the water pressure you want from your shower head. These are great for consumer choice. And want to hear from you on this. The email address, tomrotenshow@outlook.com. tomrotenshow@outlook.com. And folks, it's always right for you to make the best choice when it comes to your health and the health of your family members. And so that's what we do. We go to Holy Moly Health Food Store in the Merritt's Creek Shopping Plaza in Barboursville. Hey, they've been voted best in the tri-state 9 straight years. By who? By consumers. That's right. Their customers have voted them that 9 straight years. And Jamie LaFear and her very knowledgeable staff, they have great customer service. They know what they're talking about. They'll help you find the supplements that work best for you, and the ones that will work with whatever else you're having to take, medications and that type of thing. They're very experienced in this. And listen, I think the most important thing during this time of year especially is to have a healthy immune system. We've been stuck inside. We're not getting any natural vitamin D, that's for sure. With snow on the ground now for about 3 weeks, you need to supplement with vitamin D3. That's my opinion, but I think any expert doctor would tell you that as well. Vitamin D3 paired with K2 for absorption. Also, your vitamin C, your quercetin, your zinc, whatever else you need, your probiotic. You might want to have on hand some oil of oregano by brand name. That's from North American Herb and Spice. Always have that ready just in case somebody gets a sore throat throat or some sniffles or has allergy problems, we always have oil of oregano on hand, and we get it, of course, from Holy Moly Health Food Store. Follow them on Facebook, WHOLIMOLI, and go by and see them in the Merritt's Creek Shopping Plaza. Holy moly. Well, hallelujah, folks. This is awesome. Americans may now be able to take care of business in the bathroom with only one flush. We are celebrating, hallelujah, Trump's executive order on shower heads, toilets, vehicles, making it where actual consumers get to choose what they buy. It's a novel concept. Here to talk with us about it, O.H. Skinner, Executive Director of Alliance for Consumers. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. It's a much better day today than it was a few days ago, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So give us some details here on this executive order. President Trump's energy actions empower consumer choice in vehicles, shower heads, toilets, washing machines, light bulbs, and dishwashers.
I mean, the real story with these executive orders is they're telling the agencies to go out and follow a certain path, right? So the most important thing for everybody to know is going to take a little bit of time for all of what's happened to get undone. But what the president is clearly sending a signal on, there should be a relief for everybody, is that he understands. I mean, when you read several of his different executive orders, he's citing the fact that all these regulations and rules made houses maybe $50,000 more expensive, right? He's saying that he understands that you shouldn't be forced to buy just the kind of light bulb or microwave or dishwasher that Nancy Pelosi wants to have in San Francisco, right? And that is just music to people's ears, because inflation and the problems of the last 4 years came from a lot of different reasons. But one of the things that everyday people would have told you is when they're driving up the price of energy and they're limiting the products you can buy to the most expensive, progressive lifestyle models, that just kills an everyday family, right? And so this is the strongest possible signal. And I love when he talks about shower heads, right? He's talking about things that CNN will make fun of. But that's the kind of stuff that affects everyday people, where they wonder why things cost more and do a worse job in their home. And nothing embodies that more than dishwashers and shower heads, right? These things that you think we figured it out. We figured out how to have a dishwasher. We figured out how to have a shower head. And then over the course of the last administration, these things are getting worse. They're costing more. And you're like, wait. That's not how America is supposed to work. We figured that out. Why is it now worse than it used to be? And why am I paying more for the privilege?
Right. Yeah. So you're saying that now when I wash my hair, what little I have left, it won't be a trickle coming down to rinse it out. I mean, I can actually just spray it off. I'll be able to take a quicker shower that way.
You'll be able to take a quicker shower, but also you'll be able to live, look, I live in Arizona, right? Saving water is actually kind of important for my state because, we don't have a lot of it. But if you live in Minnesota, last I checked, water's not your biggest concern, right? It might be some other things that are your biggest concern. And the thing that I think is so offensive about the left's approach to so many of these questions is, I mean it, they're literally just imposing the choices that people in LA and San Francisco willingly make on people all across the rest of the country. There's parts of America where the person is going to care about their water bill because it's going to be really high. There's other parts of America where they're just going to care about their electricity bill because they live in California and Gavin Newsom's trying to make their electricity bill so high, right? So if your electricity bill is low, you shouldn't have to care what the high efficiency model is, right? And if water is really not a big deal for you, everybody should be able to make these choices based on where they live, what's important to them, how big their family is. People know how to do this. And what's beautiful is watching President Trump talk about the smallest things, something that a bureaucrat doesn't talk about, but is relevant to everyday people. And, the last thing I'll just remind everyone is, the federal bureaucracy is slow. And so this is President Trump going them their marching orders. And it's going to take a little bit of time before, you actually have showerhead freedom. But it's beautiful because I don't know that we've ever seen a president send a directive to their agencies to say things like, make people's homes easier to use, make it easier to buy stuff, and stop making people's lives so damn hard.
We have a whole generation now, probably 30 and younger, that don't remember, a toilet being able to take care of human waste with one flush. I mean, it's just ever since they had these the low flow, it's just been horrible. And most kids today, most young adults today, they don't remember what toilets used to be like.
They don't remember things working, right? I mean, that's what you're really getting at. I'm serious. Like, one of the things that is so offensive about the left's policies is they've made people accustomed to things in the most advanced country on earth not working. I'm not joking with it. Things we figured out in the 60s, how to make a toilet, right? How to make it last a long time. So the thing that's so offensive is people have gotten used to hand washing their dishes before they put them in a dishwasher. They've gotten used to flushing a toilet twice. They've gotten used to these things just not working. And that is sad. And it's depressing on people's lives because older people remember when things used to work. And younger people are sitting here thinking, why does nothing work? Right? And then they're doing things that are, really drive it home. All these silly rules are passed in the name of climate change or the or things like that. Well, when people are using a dishwasher twice, when they're using the water to hand wash the dishes and then put it in, when they are when they when they have to flush their toilet twice, none of that's better for the environment, and none of that's better for any of the things that these people purport to care about. And so the real kicker in all of this is a reasonable person knows that when you make these rules so silly, people actually are taking less efficient behaviors because they got to do everything twice.
Yeah.
And yet they do it anyway.
We had to break down and buy a new dishwasher right before Christmas.
I'm so sorry for you. I mean, go out, go looking in the junkyard. You might find a happier product for yourself.
Well, without a doubt. Yeah, without a doubt. So that leads me to this. So I'm an old radio guy. Back in the old days of radio, you didn't really buy stuff. You just found somebody that would trade you what you wanted. You can't do that anymore. But in 1996, I asked my boss, I said, hey, boss, my fridge went out. She said, okay, you can go to Sears, and if they'll trade it out, you can get one. So I got at that time, 1996, a $1,600 Whirlpool refrigerator. Guess what? It's still running in my kitchen, and it's the best appliance that I've ever owned. And so we thought about updating, so it matches the color and everything of our other new appliances. But even the sales reps at the appliance stores, they kind of whisper under their breath, don't do it. Don't do it. Because if you get a new refrigerator, it's going to last you about 5 years. This one's lasted since 1996. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, look, you and I can have this kind of a conversation because, we're not on CNN or something. But at the end of the day, it's almost like the people passing these rules are just trying to get it to a system where you can't have the dishwasher. You can't afford too big of a refrigerator, right? Too big. They'll say it's too big. You're not supposed to have all that. Because that's what it feels like. They say that it's more efficient, and then you have to replace it after 7 years, which is that really more efficient? It is not clear at all to me, right, that when you're buying a new refrigerator every 7 years, that's better than buying the refrigerator that you had, no matter how much energy it uses, for 20 years. So it feels like at some point they're trying to just get these products out of your homes. And you can see it because right before the election took a turn, you saw this wave of articles about how great it was to live without air conditioning. Right? You saw this wave of articles about how this appliance wasn't necessary or that appliance wasn't necessary. These things aren't accidental, right? They run these campaigns to try to convince you that the pain they're imposing on you is actually a good thing. And the amazing thing is when you watch people actually go to the ballot box, and you watch people actually responding to the first days of President Trump, it's pretty clear that most people just want to be able to live their lives and have it be easier.
Yeah. I don't need a refrigerator that has a screen on it that gives me my grocery list. I mean, that's literally what they have nowadays. I mean, we'll write out the grocery list. We'll be okay. It's unbelievable. We're talking with O.H. Skinner, Executive Director of Alliance for Consumers, and the Trump EOs on consumer choice here. And And really, that's all we're wanting. Look, if you want to get, some kind of fancy high-tech machine that's going to last you, 5 to 7 years, then that's fine. Go for it. But you don't have to do that now. Once these directives actually go into place and it starts hitting the manufacturers. So talk about it from the manufacturer standpoint. When will they be able to take this and start making appliances great again?
Yeah. Well, it's going to take, it'll take in this next year, right? But what's going to happen is you're going to see rules get pulled back, right? So one of the first ones that I would expect to get pulled back based on the executive order is this mandate that we're going to get to like 90% electric vehicles by 2030. Well, the minute that goes away, that allows auto manufacturers to start making more of the cars that they're already making, the gas-powered cars, right? When it comes to the dishwashers and the freezers, they're trying to knock Biden was trying to knock 80% of what was on the market off. That means they can keep selling those, right? So it'll just mean that the baseline stays, and then it'll start to get better, right? And the car one is a great example. I mean, to your point, I call these progressive lifestyle choices that the left has been trying to mandate, because at the end of the day, it's a choice. You live in Marin, California, or you're Nancy Pelosi, and all you want is two $5,000 refrigerators in your house. In America, even conservatives believe Nancy Pelosi is allowed to do that, right? But you shouldn't have her forcing her little Nissan Leaf and $5,000 refrigerator on a family of 5 in Plano, Texas, right? That's just dumb, because that is just not how we live. So if you want to live a cuckoo life on one of these coastal enclaves, you're allowed to do that. You're allowed to not have air conditioning. You're allowed to buy a tiny, tiny dishwasher. You're allowed to buy a tiny, like one of those, you ever seen these? The little thing that like is a washer and a dryer for your clothes, and it like sits like underneath your oven basically, and like you get to pretend like you're Belgian. Right. You can make America Belgium if you really want in your house, right? You're allowed to pretend that you're Belgian. 99% of Americans don't want to be Belgian. Most Belgians maybe don't want to be Belgian. So at the end of the day, if you live in the rest of America, the thing that's so beautiful about what President Trump's doing is he's not trying to ban the left's products. He's trying to say, you want to be cuckoo? Go be cuckoo. But if you live in Plano, Texas, and you have 5 kids, you should be allowed to buy a car that carries your kids without it costing $200,000. You should be able to heat your home. You should be able to have 2 dishwashers that both work, right? That is the most beautiful thing. And the electric vehicle mandate is a great example. No one's going to stop making electric vehicles, but you don't have to force 90% of the cars on the road to be electric vehicles. They don't work for most people most of the time where they live. So that's the beautiful thing, right? It's just, it opens it up so that you can live the life you want to live. And, the other thing I just remind everybody is when you are losing access to these products, the manufacturers, 9 times out of 10, we're not trying to just screw you. That is not their business. They're not in the business of doing that. Even the wokest ones, they just want to sell you something. And the reason that you couldn't buy what you wanted to buy was because of the Biden administration or Gavin Newsom, right?
Yeah.
And you can see it on the car lots. Have you been to a car lot recently, Tom?
No, not for a while.
Well, they were all, I've thoughts on a lot of the car companies. I'm not sure all of them were being straight with everybody, but at the end of the day, they really bought what Joe Biden was selling. So if you go to a car lot in a lot of these parts of America, they got like 82 electric models. And then you want to buy a car that's gas, and they're like, I'm sorry, those are moving like hotcakes and we can't even keep them on the lot. That's like Joe Biden was telling them, if I force you to make all the EVs, the people will come. And then, Trump wins, and the answer is, actually, people just want a gas-powered car. They just want a Toyota 4Runner. You got one of those? You got one of those, they'll sell those for a premium. But then they're saying, hey, do you want this from Ford Mustang Mach-E? We'll give you $12,000 off, right? And it's sad because the administration before did so much to distort a lot of these markets, and it's going to be beautiful to watch as people get choice again.
Yeah. Well, that's why a lot of us in West Virginia, in our region here, we drive vehicles that are 10 model years old or more. So at least we can, get somebody to still work on them without being Elon Musk or something.
I mean, if it's so funny watching these bureaucrats pass rules. They'll tell you that EVs are a better deal for consumers, right? If you listen to the federal bureaucrats, they put on a little bow tie and they'll tell you that it's a much better deal for consumers. They overlook the fact that when it breaks, it costs 10 times more to fix. And that's in like San Francisco, right? Lord knows how much it's going to cost or where you're going to take your electric car to get it fixed if you live in Morgantown. I don't know. Maybe it's easy. I doubt it's easy, right? And so that's where a lot of this comes back around of they're not thinking about how often you have to replace the refrigerator. They're not thinking about how much it costs to fix the car. They're just thinking that the car uses less gas or that the refrigerator is 1% more efficient on a daily basis.
Yeah.
It's all like at the end of the day, all of this was basically a one-way street of making people's lives worse, making things do a worse job, and costing more money, right? And it was all in furtherance of a progressive lifestyle like edict from Joe Biden. And the best way to summarize what President Trump did is he just said, let people live normal American lives again.
Yeah, absolutely. The Tom Roten Show is driven by Martin Transport, now hiring Class A CDL truck drivers for their Canova, West Virginia terminal. Apply online at martintransport.com, martintransport.com. The executive director of Alliance for Consumers, O.H. Skinner, is with me talking about the Trump executive order on consumer choice and allowing consumers to be able to buy the products that they want that are probably going to be better, more suitable for their lifestyle than having things just forced on them and no choice. I mean, overall, everybody is better when we have more choices, and the quality is going to be better. The service is going to be better. Isn't that the free market?
I think that's exactly right. I mean, just think about light bulbs, right? There's people who will tell you that the fancy light bulbs are better. I mean, you want to get a nerd into a fight at a cafe someplace. Start asking them whether the high HFC light bulbs are better than traditional light bulbs. The real answer is it all depends on what you want to use them for, right? What car is better? Depends on what you need to use it for. Do you need a Super Duty, or are you okay with a Nissan Leaf? And at the end of people should be allowed to buy things that match their lives. Life is hard enough as it is, depending upon where you live. You don't need the government making it harder every damn day. And, I always love when I'm on your show and I hear your ads for trucking companies, because at the end of the day, a great example is, do you know what's going to make life a lot worse? Is if Gavin Newsom gets to shove through this rule that says that no trucking company in America is allowed to drive regular trucks. He's trying to ban all of the gas-powered trucks across all of America and make them all electric trucks, right? Yeah. Good luck finding things on the store shelves when you can't get them there.
Yeah. I wish I think Gavin Newsom and the officials and the people in California wish they had more gas-powered fire trucks about now.
See, this is why I always refer to these as just progressive lifestyle choices. Is it all feels good until you have to do a job. It all feels good until you need to get 4 kids to school, right? And I always cite that because the people passing these rules don't live life like the rest of Americans. It doesn't occur to them that a family might need a car that holds 6 people every day. It doesn't occur to them that a family might need a dishwasher that could run in less than 3 freaking hours. It doesn't occur to them, look around your house. Really, we keep talking about people buy what they want to buy, but let's just focus on the house because that's what he's talking about. They've gone after your shower head, your toilet, your dishwasher, your refrigerator, your gas stove, your freezer if you have one in your, like a walk-in, like a on the ground freezer. They are trying to come after every damn thing in your house that uses any electricity, any water, anything like that. And in every step of the way, they were trying to wipe away what was on the market and replace it with something that cost more, did a worse job, but was efficient, right? And then that's just not how most people think about what the government should be doing, right?
Yeah.
We've reached a point where all of these products are good. Stop monkeying with them.
Yeah.
To your point, most people would happily buy a refrigerator from 15 years ago because it's plenty good, right? Yeah. Because that's what America has done.
Yeah. So how much does DEI and ESG play a role in the bad products and bad service that we're seeing?
ESG is all wrapped up in this general zeitgeist, but ESG, look, at the end of the day, the number one driver of ESG is this belief that we're going to get to net zero new carbon emissions by 2030. And what I really want everyone to pay attention to is that's math. When they say net zero, there's an United Nations energy analysis sheet that says how you get to net zero and how much carbon emissions have to reduce out of certain industries. They want natural gas to go to almost zero. Why are they really trying to ban your gas stove? Because they need to basically stop using natural gas. They need solar to go like this. They need all the gas stations to go away, right? They need all the ships to go electric, right? So it's math, right? They are solving for this imaginary date in the future. And so they need everything to just get painfully efficient to get where they want to go, right? And so you have to understand that almost all of these rules, they're not solving for clean air and clean water. Everybody wants clean air. Everybody wants clean water. Consumers don't want to live in China. But the ESG push to get to net zero by 2030, that's what's driving this. They need to get rid of the gas-powered cars. They need to get rid of natural gas. They need to get rid of gas stations. They need all your utilities and all your electricity needs to be coming from the unicorn tiers, right? And so they need everything. So they got to drive the prices up of electricity. They got to make sure that gas cars go away. That's why they're getting rid of your gas stove. Why is it that your perfectly efficient refrigerator has to get 3 times more efficient? Man, that math, they got to get there. And so everyone needs to understand that the ESG drives all of this because it's all about net zero and it's all about solving for this mathematical number with the UN and not about how to make your life better.
So while we're talking about how this EO is a benefit for consumers, talk about the proposed Trump tariffs. What's that going to do to products that we buy?
It'll be very complicated to see. I got to be clear. In some instances, it'll drive up prices, and in some instances, it won't. I mean, the thing that I think is important for people to recognize when you're doing this is there's tariffs that are about economics, and then there's tariffs that are about foreign policy. And you're going to hear the Chamber of Commerce crowd complain about all of them. But if there's a threat of tariffs that ensures that Mexico helps shut down the southern border, those tariffs don't ever go into effect and they don't affect consumers, right? That was a foreign policy tool that was used to accomplish something. Some of these tariffs could easily drive up certain costs on certain products for consumers, right? And in other instances, I think they'll have no effect or be beneficial. It'll be complicated, but this goes back to how prices move based on a lot of things, but 3 of the biggest drivers are things like energy and things like government mandates. And so I think the thing that'll be the most interesting to see is if energy prices keep falling and no matter what tariffs are doing, you're going to see Americans feel relief on all sorts of other products. Because at the end of the day, that's one of the things that President Biden did that drove up the price of everything you see, right? When he was making it impossible for Americans to produce oil in America, and energy in America and was trying to ban things like natural gas usage in America, that drives up the cost of everything. It drives up the cost of the food on your shelves and everything else. So I think it'll be fascinating to see the energy production that President Trump is pushing compared to whatever tariffs are doing.
Yeah, absolutely. So how can we encourage, and I don't know what the administration can do on this, to see more of the products Americans buy be made in America?
I mean, that's what these tariffs will do, right? Is it may drive, this gets back to the foreign policy, right? It may drive up the price of your auto part by 10%, but now your auto part will be made in America. And so I think one of the things that is going to be interesting is to see how much of the use of tariffs is designed to, because that's one of the things that you'll notice is when the tariffs go into effect, it'll shift production to America. And the question is just how fast it can be ramped up. But that gets into really complicated questions because each industry is different, right? If the American goods are only 10% more expensive, then that'll make it 10% more expensive. But yeah, at the end of the day, that gets back to consumer choice. The one thing that was so frustrating about the Biden rules is that they prevented Americans from voting with their pocketbook, right? And the one nice thing about consumer choice is you can vote with your pocketbook, right? You can buy your American flag made in America, right? You can buy the product that says made in America, and you can pay more if you want. And I think that's important for people because a lot of people are happy to vote with their feet. You saw it with Bud Light. People vote with their feet.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. What about one of the products we didn't talk about, water heaters? Wasn't that one of the last things that Joe Biden tried to take out?
Joe Biden on the way out, he's trying to monkey with everybody's tankless water heaters. This is just another great example of you got tankless water heaters, which is the left-wing choice in a lot of places. I don't think you probably have a tankless water heater, but a lot of people in California have a tankless water heater. It's already pitched as being more expensive today, but more efficient in the long run. And Joe Biden was like, well, they're not efficient enough. We got to increase efficiency and wipe most of them off the market. It's a great example of how dishwasher, freezer, tankless water heaters, they don't care how efficient something is. They always need it to be more efficient. And then let's just loop it back because they have a mathematical formula that they got to solve for, right? That might as well be a golden idol on a shelf that they are worshiping. They've got to make the math work so the UN pats them on the head.
Yeah. And we were talking about energy, and I hope we can get back to energy independence under the second Trump administration. But prior to this, the Supreme Court rejected an appeal from Big Oil in a Honolulu climate case. Talk about that.
Yeah, that was a really not a great day. Look, at the end of the day, even how, as a consumer group, I get sad about these cases because, big oil companies have done plenty of woke things in recent years. It's not like most people are thinking that they need to get bailed out of anything. But the thing that's hard is those lawsuits are designed to say climate change is the biggest threat to the world, and anybody who did anything that contributed to climate change have to pay money to left-wing cities for them to have basically a Green New Deal bank account, right? And so it's tough because nobody feels sympathy for an oil company, especially like a really big one. But at the end of the day, what those cases are really going to be about is they'll start with the oil companies, and then they'll go after the car manufacturers, and then they'll go after the person who made the leaf blower at your house, and then they'll go after the person who runs the gas station. And they're just going to hit every single industry that's ever made anything in America, right? Because you'll notice that they're not suing, Sinopec, the Chinese oil company, right? They're only suing people who've done these things in America, but they're trying to hold them responsible for global climate change. So that is to understand that all of this is linked and that they're trying to make the products in your home worse while at the same time unlocking billions of dollars from big companies to make other parts of your life worse. It's all part of one, belief system. And I hope all of your listeners understand that it's a good turn that we've made here, but to just understand that it's all related.
Does this EO affect you mentioned leaf blowers? My sons have a lawn care company, so does that affect like the leaf blowers, the weed whackers, and the lawn mowers and all that stuff too?
It's going to affect all this because the most important thing is he cites all the things that he cares about the most, right? The shower heads. But what he's really doing is directing all the agencies to prioritize making sure that products are available to people and to stop banning them. The most important thing you got to understand about executive orders is they're telling the government what to do. Right. The people at the White House, they're sending this out and they're telling all the agencies and all the bureaucrats what to do. And sometimes that can happen really fast and sometimes it takes more time. But yeah, look, if you live in California, I'm sorry for you because, they're going to ban all your leaf blowers no matter what you do. But the one thing you're going to have now is the feds are not going to be banning leaf blowers. They're not going to be banning shower heads. They're not going to be banning gas stoves, right? That's over. And that is a good thing because every one of these agencies has been told, stop that behavior.
Yeah. All right. O.H. Skinner, Executive Director of Alliance for Consumers. Where can folks learn more?
AllianceForConsumers.org and For Consumers is our Twitter handle. And we love to keep people up to date about what matters to consumers.
All right. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Great info.
Sure thing.
The Tom Roten Show is brought to you in part by Panhandle Support Services. If you're a veteran in West Virginia and need additional help around the house, call Evan Worrell at Panhandle Support Services, 888-242-8404. As a veteran of the Armed Forces, Evan Worrell wants to provide care and comfort in your home with a dedicated and trustworthy home health aide. They have 7 locations across the state and are ready to meet your needs with in-home care. Look them up at personalinhomeservices.com. That's personalinhomeservices.com. And folks, want to thank you so much for listening today.